right now, network right now. I wish I could somehow change that, but I don't really know how right now. Shucks. I don't think it's that one. Oh, definitely not that one. All right, well, don't know how to stream in less than 720p. Only problem with HD is when you wake up in the morning and you look like crap, you're getting crap HD. So you have to forgive me, YouTube. I haven't had a chance to clean myself up this morning. Boondocking can be kind of rough like that. And I kind of hang. Used to feel a little more normal when I was doing the live streams on the regular, but bags under my eyes too. Man, I slept a lot last night. I should be well rested. In my life, there's always something going on. I check the local news stuff on a fairly, not local, but like global news, Drudge Report, Infowars, Breitbart, and RT.com. In fact, if you haven't heard of any of those websites, I definitely recommend checking them out. Drudge Report is sort of, I consider it almost like a tabloid. I mean, they have a lot of articles, but it's a lot more left-leaning than it used to be. So I get Drudge Report for news from the left a little bit. I get Breitbart for news from the right. Infowars is, I wouldn't call it fringe news, but I think a lot of their reporting is very high quality. Sometimes they cover things that are a little more out there, so to speak, a little more tinfoil hat, but if you think every info crap, you to spend and actually look that there is an reporting. So that's my challenge to you. If you think Infowars is a bunch of crap, I'm not saying you need to buy Male Vitality tomorrow. In fact, maybe I need some Male Vitality. That's why I look so tired right now. So, Drudge Report, Breitbart, Infowars, and then I round it out with a little international news at RT.com, or Russia Today, which has, I wouldn't say an anti-West bias, but you'll definitely hear stories that aren't as pro-West. So I'm an American. I love America, but I also don't mind reading about criticisms of America from a news source that's sort of generally biased towards Russia. So rather than this whole, is it left, is it right, is it progressive, is it conservative, just to hear sort of like a America's not perfect point of view, I tend to find pretty decent reporting on stuff going on in America on Russia Today. And man, 7:53 is early. Maybe all the preppers are sleeping from a hard night of prepping. I don't know, but we will see. So far, so good. I'm not dropping the video too much, I don't think. You'll notice that we're in my wonderfully filthy car that has been needed some deep cleaning. Oh no. Audio. Do I have audio? It says that it's dropping frames, which is fine. I have 30 per second. Oh, excuse me. I could probably afford to drop a few. So, back to the topics at hand. Have a list because although I enjoy rambling, it doesn't make for the best video quality. So number 1 on the list, coronavirus. What is going on with this coronavirus? And I think, the first question I probably think of is, should I be worried out. The flu kills a lot of people every year, and you don't really hear this big kerfuffle about. You hear a little bit of kerfuffle about flu season, but not an enormous amount. There's not a lot of alarmist, language regarding the flu season. It's just sort of, oh, the flu season's here, some people died. That's the flu season, yay. But this coronavirus thing, the news is just, freaking out. I mean, I guess that's what happens when the impeachment fails, is that you have to look for the next big story, and the big story right now is coronavirus. Where did it come from? Did it come from Wuhan, China? Did China buy a weaponized virus from America? Did the virus have HIV DNA in it? I don't know. I'm not a virologist, but it wouldn't surprise me if the powers that be, the deep, dark state, released this virus to somehow thin the population or to test the world's preparedness for pandemics. Who knows? The point is, it doesn't really matter, because if you have enough connections to release a virus and get away with it, what are you or I going to do about it? Like nothing. Freedom of information request, like the US, the Chinese people, get some coronavirus patients in your lab and test them and see what it looks like. But I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars of equipment you need to take a blood sample from someone with coronavirus and see if there's HIV strain in it. I feel like that's a somewhat complex process. So what are you going to do about coronavirus? Wash your hands, wear a face mask in public, avoid Chinese people. Kidding. I don't know. I suppose the same things you would do sort of for the flu, just kind of keep your hygiene up. Maybe avoid places with huge amounts of people, but sometimes it just happens. You go to school, you go to the airport. We're always going to places that have large groups of people. Excuse me. That's the problem with the viruses and flus and stuff, is that they bounce from one person to the next person to the next person, and on and on. Action. Of course, for America, most of you watching this are going to be in America, and it's a little bit of a shit show. If you're a conservative, you're probably pulling strong for Donald Trump. Whether or not you agree 100% with his character or his policies, he is the Republican frontrunner. If you are a red pinko commie bastard, you're pulling for Bernie Sanders, because who doesn't like free stuff? I think we should take that free stuff and just slippery slope it to the end. Forget free healthcare and free food and free rent. Let's go, free gas. I mean, they want to do what? Free education, free healthcare, free food if you can't afford food, and we're already doing that right now. Free housing, like Section 8, and that's SNAP is EBT, that's the food stuff, but WIC. There's a lot of programs that we're taxing the populace and providing services. It's sort of even worse than socialism, because socialism is, we're going to provide housing for all. America is like bastardized socialism, where we're going to take everyone's money and then give housing to a few people, give free food to a few people. In my opinion, pure socialism would be everyone gets free bread, everyone gets free water or, milk or beer or whatever. So this idea that you're going to take something from everyone and then redistribute it to a few people, that's kind of what I have a problem with. If we believe as economists, or if people with economic minds believe that distributing things is somehow going to make the world better, it doesn't really make sense to me. If everyone wants $1 and sometimes people need help in life, in a variety of ways, and I think that society should aim to help individuals who need help. I just don't think taking money from people is the right way to do it, personally. I think we should have a bigger volunteer force. I think a lot more things should really be volunteer. Maybe even compulsory volunteer work, but definitely more volunteer, you know? Like if you want SNAP, or if you want, you know, your food stamps or Section 8 or something like that, and you're not working, you need to do something. I don't care if you're disabled. I don't care if you got no legs and no arms. Read a book to some kids while a blind person next to you holds up the book because they can't. I mean, they could read a Braille book, but you see what I'm saying. You know, this idea that, oh, I'm disabled or I'm old or I don't have skills or I don't speak perfect English, I can't contribute to society, I can't find a job. The idea that you can't produce or contribute to society just because you don't fit into the normal, you know, get a job, pay taxes sort of type category, I think is a bunch of crap. I think this country does a generally a terrible job of utilizing people's resources. I think it'd be really cool if there was a little bit more of a comprehensive national volunteer group, sort of like the Salvation Army. What's some other ones? The Salvation Army is sort of a specific volunteer group for people with like addiction and stuff like that, but I can't remember what it's called. Not the Army Corps of... well, anyways, there's a few different... There's obviously thousands and probably millions of volunteer groups in the United States, and that's kind of where the problem is. You know, every different volunteer group has different leaders and managers and facilitators and website developers, and it's very inefficient. I think there should be just sort of a super... What's up, Brian? I think there should be just kind of a giant super national volunteer corps. And I know that sort of screams of like communism and state control and stuff like that, but we're not trying to force people to do things. We're just trying to get some economy of scale from people's volunteer. One, the 100 members and 100 websites, 100 marketing plans, and 100 directors and 100, like, it just, you're really losing. You could put 10 of those people on the national website and have the other 90 developers doing other stuff, helping people build websites so they can get a job, helping develop like the web services offered at a more regional level. So it's very inefficient for everything to be done piecemeal like that. That's the one thing that we really need to learn from communism. You really should never shut the door to being able to learn something from an opposing. For example, from socialism, we're learning everyone crap tends to sort of, you know, Venezuela is doing horribly, Cuba is not doing as bad, I don't think, but full socialism where you just give everyone free crap and you take a lot of things and everything is government controlled doesn't really work out. But one thing I think we can learn from communism is that centralized control does have its advantages. It makes it a lot easier to organize. You know, I'm not saying America should like lock down cities when they have 2 coronavirus patients, but if China was a democracy, dealing with the outbreak would probably be a lot harder for them. Whether or not you agree with that or disagree with that, that's kind of your own opinion. But, you know, for example, let's say they want to do some medicinal research on coronavirus. As a communist government, China can say, all right, all you doctors, you're all going to focus on coronavirus right now. We're the state, we're the government, and we're going to take away your license if you don't focus on what the hell is going on with the coronavirus. They can do that. Whereas in America, basically all we have is the CDC. Now, not to say that's, you know, not enough, but it, you know, like stuck on the front of the screen, sadly. There we go. All right. So there are things to be learned and gained from other systems, and I think it's important to keep your mind open about that. So, as far as the election concerned, it's the Democrats are just they're all agree with his policies or not. I don't think I was eating lunch. One more thing about the election stuff. I was eating lunch with some family the other day, and one of my family members, who I respect very much, he's a veteran, smart guy, very smart. You would think he'd be more conservative, but I don't know if he watches too much news or what. But he said something about, oh, we're losing our democracy. And I wanted to look at him and say, do you really think we're losing our democracy? Like, get real. We have elections. We're not shooting demonstrators in the streets. I'm pretty sure we still have a democracy. I don't doubt there's a lot of funny business going on in the elections. I think there's funny business going on either sides. I don't think Trump is a Russian asset. I do think people from political parties have connections to other countries and have had for a long time. I don't know if those on the left or the right ever had concerns with the Bush family's ties with oil, but the Bush family had tons and tons of ties with oil. Yeah, exactly, Brian. It is a democratic republic, for the people. What's interesting is it's not a direct democracy, it's a representative democracy. So, if you put a vote to the American people, should we reduce income taxes? Most people would probably vote, yes, fuck income taxes. Can we please reduce income taxes? But when you elect a representative and they say, well, I'm going to do something, something for taxes, something, something, blah, 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 bullshit. Then once they get elected, they're free. It's like someone getting paroled out of prison. Yes, I'll be good. All right, peace, bitches, I'm out. And then once they're out, they're on their own. It's between them and society how much, whether or not they're going to be a good citizen or not. So that's kind of what happens with these politicians, is that we elect them, and then as soon as they get elected, until their next election, they kind of do what they want. And it's a little bit challenging to try to track the performance of every politician. I mean, there's websites and such, but if you we just had local elections, I just voted, so of course there's a president, but then there's all these judges, and there's all these council people, and this supervisor, and that, district attorney, and you know how much work it would take for me? I mean, I could look at who my party supports, and that's a good start, but if I actually wanted to research the political record of every single person I wanted to vote for, I could spend weeks doing it. It's completely insane. Yeah, that brings me, Brian, into the next point about the economy. People are concerned with this coronavirus, stocks are down and wealthy people lost $433 billion. And the first thing I think about that is, well, if the stocks were overvalued $433 billion, they didn't really lose $430, had their net assessed sane. Whenever people stock value is sort of coming slightly more sane value. That's the way that I look at it a lot of times. Yeah, I'm sure the fact that Trump wants to go back on the gold standard is pissing off a lot of people. And if you're watching this video and you're kind of hip to ideas not common in public society, we are on a fiat currency, a currency that is not backed by anything. It's basically monopoly money. No fiat currency has ever lasted forever. I don't know if ours is the longest lasting fiat currency. I don't know how long the Rome currency, I don't know if Rome had the longest lasting fiat currency, but back in the day, currency was precious metal. A gold coin was a gold coin, a silver coin was a silver coin, and they were making silver coins and gold coins, but they weren't making them at the speed at which we're printing money. You know, this between fractional reserve banking and quantitative easing, we're all getting broker by the minute. You know, if you get a 5% raise year over year and inflation, like and the money supply increases, let's say 10%, you're making sort of 5% less, you know, than you thought you were. So you have to get raises just to deal with inflation. You know, that's why I'm making certain financial moves, because you have to hedge against inflation. It's impossible to stop until we decide to go have a real economy again. But anyways, so what's going on with the economy? I find in the sense it's sort of business as usual. My general belief is that more or less the majority of the economy is derivative bullshit. I think probably over 95% of the economy is just Vegas. It's a pyramid scheme. Now, the pyramid scheme is currently functioning in a very dysfunctional way because we keep printing money, because we keep having this fractional reserve. If you told all the banks, okay, instead of 10% fractional reserve, you need to have 50% fractional reserve, or you need to have 80% fractional reserve. Or if you told the Federal Reserve to stop printing money, to stop quantitative easing, to stop borrowing money against our future, the amount of deleveraging would completely turn the market upside down. I mean, people would have heart attacks. Rachel Maddow would, have an aneurysm, and, it's the end, and people would freak out. The economy would freak out. Everything would just become a shit show. So when you hear about, the Fed wants to raise a rate 0.25%, and, the stock market fell 500 points on news of the federal rate change, that's how screwed up our market is, that when the Feds want to raise the interest rate, 0.25%, everyone has a cow. Everyone is just losing their shit over this. So we have a very dysfunctional economy that somehow is functioning in its dysfunction. So as far as, if you want some very uneducated advice on what you should do to save yourself from this ridiculous economy, get a good job. Number one, you need a good job or a good source of income. If you have a bunch of side hustles going on and you're good with the side hustle, get that going on. If you're retired, I hope you have a steady stream of income, but you can still get side hustle stuff going on. Number two, limit your fixed expenses. Limit your variable expenses and limit your fixed expenses. No matter what your income is, you want to reduce how much of it you're spending every month. Number three, try to control your housing costs. Buying a house is a great way to do that. It's also a good hedge against inflation. Number four, diversify yourself. A little bit of stocks, maybe mutual funds, precious metal, hard assets. Buy a few trucks, buy some land, buy a house, Airbnb it. I don't know if that was number 4 or 5. I think that was 4. Number 5, educate yourself. Become aware of ways to make money, ways to limit your expenses, ways to improve your knowledge, get a better job. Just continue to educate yourself. Life should be a continuing education process. So yeah, Brian, I'm reading your comment here. It is possible for people. Oh, guy just drove by with a truck with 2 dirt bikes. Kills me. Rich people money. Undoing the current clusterfuck that our economy is going to be very challenging. It's not something that's going to be easy to do. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult. And if people cared more about fractional reserve banking than they do about their Instagram page, we might have a better chance. The gold standard needs an Instagram page. I'm just going to start buying silver in my Instagram. I'm going to get an Instagram account for my silver. In fact, I should I should send a message to another overtaxed taxpayer. I love that guy. He buys, I swear he buys silver in his sleep, that guy. Other people on YouTube would sort of have this idea of what's going on. And I promise when inflation gets worse, thanks, Brian. Take it easy, buddy. Have a great Sunday. And I'm going to be making some more videos soon. So keep an eye out. But thanks for stopping by, Brian. So yeah, the economy is kind of fucked, but there's plenty of opportunities to make it in this world. You just have to try. You have to educate yourself. You have to try. You have to learn new things. I'm improving my skills at work. I'm increasing my income by improving my skills at work, by setting goals and achieving them. I'm limiting my costs. I'm reducing costs. I'm trying to keep certain costs like housing fixed for the long term. Trying to keep this old piece of shit car running, even though my catalytic converter monitor is not working, which is driving me insane. Literally driving me insane. I'm learning about day trading. I'm learning, I have some experience in construction. I'm going to get into some real estate stuff, improving properties. At least one property. So, that's enough about the economy. It tires me talking about the economy. Boondocking update. And this video is getting super long, so I tell you what, I'm going to stop here and start on a new video so that I can kind of split this stuff up a little bit. And I don't even know how to stop this video. Oh my gosh. What's going on, YouTube? This is LA Prepper, and we are going to continue some live updates. I just shot a 26-minute video, and it's streamlined. Pretty cool. Like sharing messages of positivity and other goodness to YouTube. So, in the last video, we talked, and forgive me, I'm going to get comfortable here because I'm doing laundry at my favorite laundromat in Redondo Beach. It is a beautiful overcast day, and I say that seriously because it's hot. It's been hot. In fact, getting off at 4 o'clock in the morning, I've seriously been waking up like sweating in my car because I leave the windows closed just for like mosquitoes and stuff. And I'm just getting up and like I'm baking in my car. And the fact that this light keeps changing. Oh, Christ. The fact that this light keeps changing is slightly annoying. So we talked about coronavirus. We talked about the election. We talked about the economy. Now we are going to talk about boondocking, surprise mega projects, motorcycle news. Oh my gosh, I can't even cover all this in this video. I gotta put my stuff in the dryer in a few minutes. So, let's talk about boondocking. I have been boondocking. If you don't know what that is, you can Google it, but if you're watching this, you probably know what it is. I've been boondocking since October. So October, November, December, January, February. 5 months of boondocking. Almost half a year. Living in this godforsaken car. So, holy crap. And this auto balance changing is really aggravating me right now, to be honest. So, sorry about that, YouTube, but I got to figure out how to turn the auto balance correction off on my phone, and trust me, I have no idea how to do that. Yep. What the fuck does this do? Oh. I do not need to upgrade to Prime while I'm streaming. I think I'm going to do a separate video on boondocking. Let's just say it's possible. Wasn't the worst thing in the world. I had a shower at work, which helped a lot. I also work an ungodly amount of hours, which also helped because having too much downtime, just always having time free when it's hard to kind of do projects when you're living in a car, I mean, I guess I could be trading stocks or working on YouTube videos and stuff like that, but the bottom line is anything I'm a maker, I like working with my hands. So trying to sort of do anything like that while boondocking is, I mean, I guess I could have taken some road trips or gone camping or something like that, but I was working on a lot of other stuff in my life. So moral of the story is, if you're gonna boondock short term, I think you can kind of rough it in a car, like with a gym membership and just kind of eating out at restaurants or whatever. If you're gonna boondock more long term, like a way of life, you need to get a vehicle more suited to it. Either a minivan or a van or something. I'm 6'3". I was able to sleep in the back on the air mattress, but the thing is, the air mattress takes up the entire back of the car. So if I wanted to do like cooking or sort of, get my tools or change a tire, I have to deflate the mattress, deal with crap, reflate it. I kept getting holes. I went through 2 mattresses. The second one I bought lasted like a week. The first one I got lasted a few months. And I just got tired, got tired of dealing with it. I just started sleeping in my front seat, just learning how to sleep in the seat. It's not quite as comfortable, but it never deflates, so that was kind of nice. So yeah, it's definitely doable. You want to find some good places to park. I had a few scary things happen while I'm parking. People acting crazy, homeless people walking around at night. I parked somewhere where 2 cars got set on fire within a week. That was really scary. Like if someone's going to try to dump gasoline on my car and light the shit on fire. I don't even have a fire extinguisher on me. I almost bought a fire extinguisher for my car, and I think I really will buy one, because you lose your whole car, you don't have a fire extinguisher. Or if someone else's car is on fire, right? So it's possible. It's not the most painful thing in the world. It was a little bit demoralizing for me, only because I hadn't really been used to it. And even though I did it by choice, there'd just be moments where I had to go to the bathroom, or I wanted to shower, or I just wanted to take a nap. And I just kind of wanted to take a nap without people being able to walk by my car and know I was sleeping in my car, stuff like that. I did save a lot of money not paying rent. So, I ate out a lot. In fact, I'm going to go to the bar today, probably Chili's, maybe get a couple margaritas, have some shitty appetizers. Oh, excuse me. So it made spending money in other areas a lot easier. I'm such a miser that it's hard for me to spend money. My parents grew up with money. I didn't grow up poor. They grew up poor, though, and I think they sort of took that sort of cheapskate / frugal mentality into their adulthood. I mean, they were saving money like they were going to lose their jobs tomorrow. And to a certain extent, I am glad that I got brought up in that environment, because I am very frugal with money. I'm sort of between stingy and frugal. I'm working on being a little more sensible, to where if I need something, I buy it, a high quality product, and it lasts. Because buying cheap stuff all the time is not the greatest way to go about your life. But I hate idiots on loud motorcycles. I love motorcycles. I hate douchebags who just... You can tell how big of a douchebag someone is by how many times they rev their engines in between gear changes. You want the revs to drop when you shift up, so anybody who revs their bike in between a gear shift is a complete idiot. Anyways, so that's a little bit about boondocking. It's not a terrible short-term solution. It's definitely viable on a medium to long-term basis, but you just want to plan accordingly. Where are you going to shower? Where are you going to eat? Where are you going to sleep? What's the weather like? If it's snowing and you're trying to boondock, that's a little harder. If it's 110 degrees outside and you're trying to boondock in Phoenix or Tucson and there's not covered parking everywhere, you better think about that. So in California, boondocking is relatively easy. Weather's pretty amazing all the time. Excuse me. So that's enough about boondocking. Surprise mega project. We have a surprise mega project coming up very soon. In fact, maybe even today you might get the first taste of it. So that's all I can say. It's going to be exciting as heck. It's going to be the source of endless amounts of videos. It's going to mark a major milestone in any person's life. So can't say much more than that. But it is very, very exciting, and I've been waiting literally since October to kind of make it happen. So, exciting, super, mega project coming up soon. And whoever's watching right now, you're the only person, other than people who watched 3 or 4 videos ago, I mentioned it. So, motorcycle news. I am going to be buying a dual sport motorcycle. I might actually also buy a regular motorcycle. I've been toying with the idea of trying to do a ride share with my bike, or like rent kind of an Airbnb for the motorcycle B&B, I guess. Because you can charge like anywhere between $50 and $80 a day for the bike. So if I can get a bike for $1,600, charge $50 a day. I think that's what, 32 days? Rent it out 32 times, and that's the price of the bike. So that'd be really cool to make money like that. But yeah, I'm kind of on the fence between a brand new Chinese motorcycle, like a TT250, or a used bike. In fact, I just recently saw a used 2009 Yamaha XT250, which has 17 horsepower. Brand new Chinese motorcycle has 16 horsepower. Now, Chinese motorcycle, the Japanese motorcycle is probably about 3 to 5 times more reliable than the Chinese motorcycle. But the Chinese motorcycle would have 0 miles on it. And there's one thing about bikes, or about used vehicles in general, you really never know how people treated the vehicle. And that's really the sort of the big reason I want a brand new motorcycle. I want to be the only one that ever rode it, that ever owned it, that ever maintained it. I know when all the oil changes are. I did all the chain tensioning. I did everything myself. 100%, no doubt, as to proper maintenance of the motorcycle. I don't know if I'll ever buy a new car, unless it's a Corvette or a truck or something. I get a real good deal on the lease, maybe write it off as a business expense, but gonna be making some motorcycle videos. And you know, I'd already planned this. I already bought the damn DR350. Thing turned out to be a piece of shit. Couldn't get it running well for the life of me. Had a kickstart, break in my shoes. Just kills me. So that's kind of why, like, even a 2009, I don't want to deal with old shit. I'm tired of old motorcycles. My car, you know, there's something to be said for buying new stuff because it tends to work. Granted, my car runs pretty all right, but speaking of which, my car, I went to get it smogged. If you're going to smog your car, here's some advice. Don't wait for the last minute, because if you have any problems, you're not going to have time to fix it, which is the bullshit that I'm going through right now. So my car said that the catalytic monitor was not working, which sucks because you have to go through these drive cycles of drive the car 50 miles an hour, or turn it on, let it idle, drive to 55, slow to 20 miles an hour without hitting the brake. How you're supposed to do that on a freeway, I have no idea. Then go back up to 55 and hold it for a few minutes. And you needed like 5 drive cycles after a new battery or after a battery dies. And I don't know how the computer dies when the battery dies, but anyways, my battery wasn't dead. It just wasn't off. It was just very, very dead. So now my catalytic monitor is not working, and I have in fact, I need to remember to get it from storage. I have a OBD2, oh Christ, scanning program that I'm going to have to plug into my car and make sure that the catalytic monitor is running, because I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. I think we can actually wrap this video up. Work news. Let's see. We had some annual raises. I'm doing the same type of let's say, robot welding work that I'd been training for. I won't say exactly what type of welding, it's not that critical. But I run a robot that welds parts. So it's relatively interesting work. It's not that challenging. At least not the current faculty that I'm doing it right. Not the current way. My current responsibilities are not highly challenging, but potentially in the future I'll have some more development to do, so that'll be interesting. But working an ungodly amount of hours, 12-hour days, 5 days a week. That's why I'm yawning right now, even though I slept like 10, 11 hours last night. Working a lot, making a lot of overtime. I'm going to have to get an accountant so I don't pay an ungodly amount of taxes. I might be making some harbor freight trips and or Lowe's trips. Super mega back with more fun and exciting videos. Until then, YouTube, keep your cars, motorcycles, snowmobiles, ATVs, RVs, UTVs, side-by-sides, planes, boats, trawlers, luxury yachts, and airships running better than I do, and keep prepping.